This is Markin Out. Pro wrestling talk by pro wrestling fans. We marking out, y'all. Follow on Twitter. Pro wrestling talk by pro wrestling fans. We marking out, y'all. Marking out. Pro wrestling talk by pro wrestling fans. We marking out, y'all. Brennan likes fisting. Pro wrestling talk by pro wrestling fans. We marking out, y'all. We're marking out. Pro wrestling talk by pro wrestling fans.
Welcome to Markin Out. Pro wrestling talk by pro wrestling fans. This is episode 714. 714. That is right. And
that isn't
you can
right.
Check us out. 714.
That's not how it's said. That wouldn't be the right number.
714.
I mean, that's 714, but
I mean, I could say what? 714? 714?
Said 10 something like that.
70
No. There's another word.
Well, it is 714. That is right. 714. Thank you so much for listening. We appreciate each and every one of you. Make sure markinout.com that you are checking out the latest episodes. You are subscribed and downloading at iHeartRadio, Amazon Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, and Amazon Podcasts, and give us a 5-star rating to go with that 5-star frog splash. Also, buy a t-shirt at prowrestlingtees.com/markinout. Follow us on Twitter at markinout, on Instagram at markinout11, and then on TikTok at markinout. Also, you can follow us individually. You can follow Chris at Chris Sweendog on Twitter and CMSweeney85 on Instagram. You can follow me, myself, and I, Dave the Rave, at David PTDPT on all social media platforms. And you can follow Brandon on all social media platforms at BTTG161. Brandon, how are you?
I am doing awesome as always. How about yourself?
Doing fantastic.
How was your week?
Freaking-tastic. My week was good. You know, celebrated the good old New Year, Rosh Hashanah. So brought in the New Year with a family gathering. Nothing too big.
Any juggalos there?
There was no gathering of the juggalos. Woot woot. Woot
woot woot. It's whoop whoop.
Whoop whoop?
Yeah.
Or woot woot?
No, it's with a P.
Whoop whoop. Oh, whoop.
Well,
whoop.
there was no gathering of the juggalos. Woot woot.
Oh, well, let me go dive into a pile of lamps and everything, as that YouTuber does. I forgot whatever his catchphrase is.
This one's for the juggalos and the juggalettes.
Yeah. Whoop whoop. But I mean, we did get to meet the ICP. They are good friends of us.
Great
good friends of us. Yes, they love us. Oddities, one of the greatest theme songs. But yes, whooping aside, yeah, week was good. How about your week?
I went to Atlantic City last week.
Oh, no way. Tell me about it.
Hadn't been there, I think, since 2018. And for me, the only real reason to go to Atlantic City is to maybe get Cracker Barrel. Either go on the way there or on the way back or both. This time we went... First of all, Atlantic City, I just feel like it's such a dump of a city. No offense to anybody who lives there.
Let me lower your volume first off. And let me say that you are absolutely correct. And don't worry, because I'm sure they know it.
Yeah, so on the way there, instead of going to Cracker Barrel, we went to a place called Smithville, New Jersey, which I don't know, I expected more from it. It seems like a much nicer place in videos, but it's just a bunch of random shops around a lake, really. Not to say it wasn't a nice place, but I just had a different idea in my mind. It's been around.
Just say that there's nicer places out there. that you would have rather been at?
It was still a nice place to visit. It was like it's been not how it is right now, but the land itself has been like, I guess, somewhat established since the Revolutionary War, I think.
Ooh.
So they do have like an inn that is like super old, but it just reminds me of a Hallmark town.
What do you mean a Hallmark town?
Well, if you could picture a Hallmark movie, that's what I picture this
Hallmark.
town to be. Yeah.
Okay.
But we stayed at Harrah's, which is a hotel that I've never been to in Atlantic City. We were going to check out the renovations at the Showboat. Everything there, it's just a giant arcade now, but we opted not to do that. We went to Carmine's for dinner, which was very underwhelming, at the Tropicana. So that was unfortunate. And I wanted to go get the mini cookies at Mrs. Fields. I just wanted the M&M cookies. They didn't have enough M&M cookies for me to complete an order, so I wasn't able to
that's some
get them.
crap.
Yeah. And they were like, oh, we can make you a fresh batch right now, but it would have been like 25 minutes. So I really should have gone before Carmine's to see if they had the cookies, but I didn't think they wouldn't have the cookies.
Mm-hmm.
And then we went back to the hotel and they gambled a bit. I had a Shirley Temple for the hell of it. Probably haven't had a Shirley Temple for probably like
Damn, when was the last
24
time
years. Maybe.
Yeah, I can't even remember the last time I had that.
Yeah, so I figured why not? When in Atlantic City, it's free, so why not? And then Friday on the way home, we went to Cracker Barrel and headed home. So it was nice to go to Atlantic City, but it's not nice to be in Atlantic City.
Yeah, we went to Atlantic City for Cardona's event with GCW, and it just doesn't feel safe there.
I would have liked
legit,
to have.
You go into the boardwalk.
I would have
do
liked
not
to have
feel
walked
safe.
on the boardwalk, and we didn't go to that. We didn't go to the boardwalk.
Yeah, you go on the boardwalk. It legit does not feel safe after a certain time of night.
Well, I've been there like super late at night just chilling on the boardwalk myself, and there have been like, you get like stray cats and very sketchy looking people, but
yeah.
And then on Sunday I went to an Italian restaurant with all my immediate cousins, my aunts, my uncles, for my Nana's 90th birthday. I don't know if I'm supposed to say
90.
I don't know if I'm supposed to say the age or not, but
Well, I mean, she looks fantastic.
yeah.
You know, she looks fantastic and she's doing great. Happy birthday, Nana.
Yeah, so that was a fun time.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And that's all.
Sweet.
That's all I did for my week, really.
Well, in that case, let's talk about some Bad Blood.
Which took place
Kicking.
in
where did
Atlanta,
it go?
Georgia.
Yeah, nice.
I don't remember
nice.
the venue though.
Awesome segue.
I don't remember the venue.
Okay,
But
that's okay. Brandon, it happens to us all.
Samantha Irvin performed "God Bless America." I like the transition that they have. It was like they do the kickoff show, and there's no like, "We'll be right back." It just goes into Samantha Irvin singing "God Bless America," and then the event starts. And then they had the big three open the event just to introduce the Hell in a Cell match. I feel like more could have been done with the three of them.
Mm-hmm.
But we kicked off with CM Punk picking up the victory over Drew McIntyre inside of that Hell in a Cell, with Bill Goldberg and his son Gage sitting ringside, Killer Mike sitting ringside as well.
So, is this would you say that this is one up there for match of the year?
If I really thought about it, in my mind, I just have one match of the year right now, I think.
What's that?
Well, I mean I think with the way that the mark out moment after mark out moment happened with WrestleMania, with Cody versus Roman,
Mm-hmm.
For me, it's very hard to top, but I would 100% welcome this as a contender.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that this was definitely a contender, and this what year was it? 15-year anniversary?
27.
25? 7th.
27.
27th year anniversary. It definitely lived up to. Jeez, time flies. 27. Damn, I'm getting freaking
What
old.
do you mean getting? You're almost
True.
40.
True.
I was 21
gotta-
when this started. I'm almost 40.
I gotta get my AARP card.
I have one.
Psh, lucky. Can't wait for my senior citizen.
No,
discounts.
it's not lucky because they took away the good discounts at Regal.
Ugh,
Yeah.
that's awful.
And you used to be able to go to one of the movie theaters somewhere near here for free, and they took away that as well.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
Well,
this match I thought was really good. On Monday Night Raw last week, I thought it was interesting that you had Drew McIntyre wear black and CM Punk wore white, but in this, they both wore black and white. I don't know if that was done on purpose. They did say that Drew McIntyre was dressed the way he was because it was CM Punk's funeral, basically. CM Punk, on the other hand, was a tribute to Shawn Michaels' Bad Blood 1997 In Your House gear. Including that little, even one of his stars was a little Shawn Michaels heart. So I thought that was really cool.
yeah, that was a really cool throwback with it.
But in this match, we saw CM Punk get busted open, which Drew McIntyre worked on. He also, I felt like, controlled a lot of this.
Now, what do you think that so I'm gonna base some thoughts off of Busted Open, just because I do listen to them and it does make me think about things that I wouldn't normally have thought.
Drew also got busted open, by the way, by a toolbox.
Yeah. So what? Okay, you brought up the toolbox. Spot necessary with the toolbox? Like, I saw a lot of people bringing up that it wasn't necessary.
I saw
don't
Bully
see
Ray say that none of it was necessary, so I don't.
Yeah, but what? Like,
I
why,
can't
though?
argue.
I thought that it was
I can't
fine.
argue with him with what his opinion on those weapons because I don't know where he's coming from with that, but I was fine with everything they did. Like,
yeah, I agree with
obviously-
you. I agree with you. I think that, huh?
I was gonna say just like
I
don't know. Whatever.
Yeah, no, I think that everything that was done was really, really good. The one thing I didn't understand was the entire towel spot, like having him wipe off his face. I thought that the blood and everything was adding to the effects of stuff. So I
Well,
didn't
you
think that
had
wiping
you
it
had
off
Drew
really-
McIntyre go for that Claymore, and CM Punk moved. He locked in the sharpshooter. I feel like they definitely went for that Bret Hart and Stone Cold Steve Austin spot with the blood dripping down Drew McIntyre's face.
Yeah.
So I didn't mind after that, both of them getting their faces cleared off.
Talking about Claymore, that Claymore shot where he missed, like at the end of the match, where he missed and went right into the steps on his back.
Yeah, that was quite brutal.
That I gasped when I saw that because I'm like, oh, that could easily herniate a disc. That was just tough.
Before that, the suplex from Drew McIntyre over the ring post and off the apron through the table, I thought was cool.
Mm-hmm.
But we saw CM Punk lock in that Anaconda Vice, and Drew McIntyre grabbed a wrench. CM Punk grabbed that wrench from McIntyre and just started, stabbing him with it, I guess. And then McIntyre begged CM Punk, but it was a distraction. He low-blowed CM Punk. At this point, I feel like we're not going to be seeing thumbtacks ever again in WWE. And whenever a bag like that pops up, I don't expect it to be thumbtacks. I did not expect it to be the beads. And I thought that was perfect. That he dumped that bag of beads over CM Punk's head. It was all the same colors, probably the same sort of beads that would be on the CM Punk bracelet that he received. And
Yeah,
then
I totally agree with you. I thought that was such a good spot. I mean, at first, of course, thought it was going to be thumbtacks, but once it wasn't, I was like, okay, this makes sense.
and then Punk shoved them down Drew McIntyre's throat and hit that GTS with his knee wrapped in barbed wire. Or not a barbed wire, the chain. So I thought that was a good ending to that match. I have like no complaints at all.
No, it was very entertaining. I was a big fan of it, for sure. Next up, you had Nia Jax take on Bayley to retain her championship, and I don't think that there was anything that you could really. No matter what, it was going to be tough to go on second after that one. You know.
You did have a mini Harlem Heat reunion before the match. You had Jacqueline and Booker T sitting ringside with Lillian Garcia. They also showed a Legend suite with like DDP, X-Pac, the Brainbusters, Jey Uso was up there, Mickey James, so many more. As far as the match goes, I don't think it was bad. I thought they followed up the Hell in a Cell very good.
Yeah.
Nia Jax controlled the beginning of the match. I wish that Hurricane Rana reversal from her looked better.
I know. It's such a.
But it was still a cool spot.
Not to me, because it didn't work for me. Like, it didn't work.
I mean, I don't know. I did like that she followed it up with a Bayley to belly, though. I feel like that got overshadowed by her not fully getting that move.
Mm-hmm.
But the referee eventually got knocked down. Tiffany Stratton ran out and knocked Bayley down with the briefcase. Nia Jax sits up like The Undertaker. And Tiffany Stratton goes into like defense mode. Yeah, that was a fantastic spot from Nia Jax there. But
I thought that spot was really cool. And I like the fact that we saw Tiffany not cashing it in. Like, she's innocent to us, but not to Nia Jax. So something that I would like to see is I want to see some smart stuff take place where that we haven't really seen before. I'd like to see Nia Jax be like, hey, everything is okay. I actually went back and I rewatched the match to see what happened, and I saw that you weren't actually trying to cash in on me, so everything is good with us. Like, I don't think we've ever seen somebody actually acknowledge rewatching footage of themselves or of the matchup. I think that it would be great if Nia Jax just said, I rewatched it. Huh?
It rings a bell.
That has happened?
Yeah, but I can't remember who.
It would fit this storyline to keep her and Tiffany together and continuing to make that tease.
Well, I'll get to a thought in a moment, but Bayley ends up knocking Nia Jax into Tiffany Stratton, which took her out of the ring. But she ends up getting distracted. She distracted Bayley with that briefcase again. And Nia Jax hit a Samoan drop from the middle rope and then hit the Annihilator and picked up the victory there.
Yeah. I'm a fan of Nia Jax as champion right now. I'm not ready for her to lose it.
Yeah, no, that wouldn't have been the right time.
Next up, you had Damian Priest. Next up, you had Damian Priest pick the victory over Finn Balor.
X-Pac, the Brainbusters,
this matchup,
Quavo, Lil Baby, Metro Boomin, all sitting ringside for this. I like that they showed people sitting ringside for these matches. I thought it was like it added to the allure, I guess.
Yeah. I do like it made it seem all of these, like, I don't know if you want to just read who else was at ringside overall instead of as they are shown. But it seemed like everybody that, like, showing everybody at ringside, having everybody at ringside, having the segment up in the clubhouse or whatever it was with Jade and Bianca Belair and Naomi, and then some of the rappers and X-Pac and DDP. It's as if they were having, like, real big main event vibes they were giving me. Like WrestleMania, SummerSlam
during Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan, they had DDP, Mickey James, and Scott Steiner.
Yeah, that's the thing. We might as well toss it all out there. Like, with everybody that they had out there, it's just giving me such big feels about the pay-per-view, where it was just like, it didn't seem like a
Premium live event.
Yeah, it didn't seem like a toss-away PLE that wasn't going to matter. Bring in all of these people, even Goldberg, bring in all these people to sit at ringside. It was like, wow, okay, I'm intrigued. It was like kind of like UFC in a way. Actually, maybe that's where they're getting some of the
That's
ideas
very
from.
possible, yeah.
Right? Like at UFC, they always pan the audience, and I mean NXT has done it too.
I was gonna say, but also let's not discount the fact that NXT Takeover used to be like covered with stuff like this.
Exactly, but like UFC, it's like so many times you see, oh, this person's at ringside, and now this is this champion, this is this champion, this is this celebrity. Rey Mysterio is in the audience, and so is Dirty Dom. So it just gave a different feel of it. I like it. I would like to see them continue this at every PLE.
I feel like we've seen similar stuff recently, though, so...
It's very possible, but I feel like if they do it at every PLE, you can't do it as many celebrities as you did on this one. You could do a few local celebrities, like they featured so many
they did
local
feature
Atlanta
everyone.
rappers and
Everyone
R&B.
featured were the locals. Scott Steiner and DDP is big WCW stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, but as far as this match goes, I thought it was a pretty solid match. We saw Carlito and JD McDonough show up, leading to Finn Balor getting the upper hand. But Damian Priest kicks out of the coup de grace. The Judgment Day gets involved again, and Damian Priest ends up kicking a chair into Finn Balor to take them out. Balor hits a coup de grace to the back of Damian Priest's head, which I thought was cool, but they never call it that. And then he hit another one to the back of Damian Priest, which, again, they don't call it that. They just say a
cool
double
spot.
stomp. And then when he went for another double stomp or whatever, Damian Priest caught him with the South of Heaven and won that match.
I feel like Finn Balor could have won this matchup.
It was a toss-up. Either way, I wasn't sure about who was walking out winning.
Who do you think should have won? I mean, because you had all of Judgment Day try to interfere and help out Finn Balor. I feel like with everybody getting involved, maybe he should have won.
I think had Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan gone before this, then yes, but since it came after that, no.
Yeah. Overall, I thought something that I really liked about this match was the transitions. I feel like they had really good chemistry, and it seemed like, especially towards the end of the matchup, it seemed like they were just hitting their peak and flowing really well together.
It's also funny when Balor's making his entrance, he's got that like mask on, and people are like, what the hell is he wearing on his face? And it's like, where have you been? Like that, you haven't seen Finn Balor wearing whatever he's wearing on his head.
It is awesome. It does get me to mark out whenever I see him do that.
It's super weird, though. I don't know what it is, but...
I mean, to me, it's... I don't know.
Sometimes it looks like a sock. Sometimes he looks like Daft Punk.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of it. It's something different, and I mean, we know him doing body paint so often, or at least previous to WWE.
He did have his face painted for this match. So.
He did. I thought that it was cool.
Tribute to Goldust and Thrasher, maybe. Who knows?
Mm-hmm.
But speaking of something different, after that, Triple H came out. Michael Cole announced earlier that Triple H had a historic announcement to make, which he announced the reigning champions will be facing each other at Crown Jewel. This is basically what we know Survivor Series to be, but since Survivor Series has become War Games, they're doing it at Crown Jewel. The titles aren't on the line, just like you would have had at Survivor Series, but now they'll be crowned the Crown Jewel champion. I like the side plates better than the main plate. But, and this, man, I was disappointed. I thought they were going to actually announce like a secondary women's title here. And I know a lot of people on Twitter thought that as well. So when they were like crown jewel champion, it was like, oh no, what the, come on. But
So
what?
so with this announcement, I'm okay with it, but I am disappointed. I'm okay with this announcement
I
because
get
I didn't
it.
have,
I get it.
like I didn't have any expectations going into it. But the thing that I don't like is when they mentioned, oh wait, we're gonna have the Universal Champion take on the World Champion. I was really hoping that they were going to have something like a Champion of Champions of the WWE, like this is our number one champion kind of a thing. So was kind of bummed by that.
Meaning what?
Unless this
Like,
is a representation as to who's the number one in the company.
no, I don't want that. You wouldn't want that. You're two separate brands. You wouldn't want to be like, oh, this is, because then it makes it like, oh, Cody should be on both shows, and that devalues whoever loses, if that is the WWE champion or the World Heavyweight Championship.
Mm-hmm.
But
you do make a good point that I wouldn't want to see the United States Championship, but
wait, what?
When you were texting me, you mentioned the U.S. Championship and the Women's IC.
Oh yeah, I just thought either like one of them would have been fine. I didn't need both of them.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the men's US because I feel like there's already too many men's championships on the roster in general. And at first I wasn't too much of a
What
supporter
do you mean? It's
of.
the same on each brand.
Yeah, but
Except
I just feel in general there's too. I just feel in general there's too many. I like unification of the titles because I tend to forget who's who.
they're two separate brands. You can't look at it like that.
Well, that's the thing. I'd like to unify
You
and just
can't.
have.
There's too big of a roster to do that.
True, but what I'm gonna say is that I do finally support that. I do think that having a women's IC or like a secondary women's championship would be, secondary women's championship underneath the main ones would be really beneficial for the growth of the women's division.
Which Candice LeRae just won the Speed Championship, but
yeah, that's the thing too.
that
Like,
doesn't really. That's not for TV, so it doesn't count.
Yeah,
I guess. No, I don't want to say it doesn't count, but it doesn't count in the same way that like a US or an IC title would.
Exactly. Yeah. You don't. It's not like you don't see it defended as often, or unless you're watching on Twitter.
Right.
But
Gunther interrupted this segment, crapped all over Sami Zayn, and then he spoke about the legends being there, and he focused on Goldberg, and he went back on what he said to Bret Hart a few weeks ago and called him a one-trick pony, which I popped so big for. Because he literally
am I the
was
only
like,
person that when I hear one trick pony, I think of the wrestler?
the wrestler One Trick Pony?
Yeah, the movie. I think that's
the
one
wrestler.
of the lyrics.
Oh, I was like, what? Who is the wrestler One Trick Pony? Yeah, the Bruce Springsteen song.
Yeah. Right? That's one of the lyrics.
Yeah. If you've ever seen a One Trick Pony,
when I heard
then
that,
you've seen me.
Yeah, I always go back to that song. But yeah, one trick pony. And the crowd got so fully supportive of Goldberg because he played for the Atlanta Falcons. And this was awesome. I love the fact that he called them out and stuff, and then it led to the real heat was where he hopes that he's as good.
He addressed Gage and said that he hopes Goldberg is a better father than a wrestler.
Yeah, that got Goldberg heated.
He hops the barricade.
He jumped the
security stops
he
Goldberg.
jumped the barricade.
And then Sami Zayn ran in and attacked Gunther, and part of me was thinking Gage was going to hit Gunther or try to with a spear.
No.
I don't know, man. Who knows?
Why would that happen?
Why not? Why would it not happen? It's
I don't
pro
know.
wrestling.
I couldn't see. I didn't see him getting involved at all.
I thought there was maybe a slight chance. Maybe obviously you don't want to get injured during your. I mean, it is the season right now.
You also don't want your world champion to be taken.
Yeah, but it would be
by...
like an unexpected sort of thing, and then it sets up Goldberg versus Gunther somehow.
You know what I want to see? I want to see, and I actually can see it. I want to see WWE Triple H get Bret Hart and Goldberg in the ring at the same time. Maybe not as a match, but kind of like what they did with Bret Hart and
Maybe not
Shawn
as
Michaels.
a match. What do you do? Bret's not having a match in 2024.
Exactly, but like in the ring together, like how him and Shawn Michaels got into the ring and talked it out and shook hands.
Yeah, but then there's not going to be any headlines left.
But that's, I mean, I think that alone would be huge headlines for WWE. Huge.
I don't know.
I could see it happening.
But more
It's
importantly,
wrestling.
do you see
And I
Goldberg
do feel
wrestling Gunther or something like that?
I could. I mean, so Triple H did tweet out saying that, or there's speculation. I forgot what the tweet is, but there's speculation.
There was a video from Triple H without audio saying we spoke more or something like that.
Exactly. Like, one of the big things with Goldberg was he thought that he was done wrong by Vince McMahon or by the WWE, that he wanted a retirement match, and he never was provided a retirement match. And he felt awful after the Undertaker Goldberg match. And him and Lesnar, he just wanted a retirement match, a proper send-off, and he never got a proper send-off. I totally see Triple H rewriting that.
But in the same sense, like, for me, you lost the longest reigning modern champion. To me, that's a fine send-off.
But it's not to Goldberg, though. Like, Goldberg actually said in interviews that he wants a proper send-off. He feels like he was never provided a retirement match like what he was promised. Like, apparently he was promised a actual retirement match and never had that fulfilled. So
it's also very crazy that I was under the impression that Goldberg was like done with WWE. So like he's not even in 2K24.
I mean, maybe he'll be.
So when he popped up ringside, I'm like, oh, well, surely he's got to come back for the series.
Exactly. So I think that this is going to lead to one. Well, this is what I want to lead to. One, him and Bret Hart in the ring shaking hands. Number two, him having a retirement match.
It's going to be Gunther versus Goldberg. Special guest referee is Bret Hart.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Can you actually see that?
I don't know. I don't know.
We've seen more crazy things in pro wrestling.
After that segment, we saw Rhea Ripley pick up the victory over Liv Morgan to retain the championship via disqualification. We had Dominic Mysterio and Liv Morgan arrive in that lowrider, the Mattel lowrider gimmick. But Dominic was in the shark cage for this, which Rhea Ripley had them suspended above the entranceway. I thought that was going to be a thing anyway. But at some point during this match, he got the door open. We saw Rhea Ripley hit Liv Morgan with a frog splash, which Liv kicked out of, and then Rhea locked the prism trap in. Liv got out of the ring, and that's when Rhea Ripley realized that Dominic had the door open. And she ends up fighting with Liv Morgan under the shark cage. I think she hit a riptide out there even. I don't think the referee... I didn't at first think the referee was counting when they were out there, but then they panned over and I did see, I think it was like already at a 6 count or something. So I was happy that was taking place. We just couldn't audibly hear it for some reason. Then Dominic fell out of the cage and dangled from his leg. I thought that was absolutely insane.
I was not expecting that.
That was crazy. And then Rhea Ripley went back to the ring and she told the referee she has unfinished business to take care of. A lot of people hated this spot because the referee allowed for her to go out there, grab a kendo stick, and just beat Dominic with it.
So I hated this spot because I don't know. I didn't go back to watch. You said you did. You saw something different than me. In my impression is I was really unhappy that he said, okay, yeah, no problem to her, or whatever his response was.
I think that's what, I mean, in my interpretation of it.
Wait, hold on. So on the video camera, on his perspective, he said, yeah, no problem and everything. You saw that referee view, and then she got out of the ring and started wailing on him with the kendo stick, which is great. It got the huge pop. But to me, it was the referee saying, I'm not going to count you out. Go ahead.
Yeah, that under my interpretation of it was that we've all seen everything that Rhea Ripley's been through with Dominic. The referee's like, you know what? I completely understand where you're coming from. Go for it. It's not affecting you versus Liv Morgan. And it's her, like, I just felt like it was an okay thing to have there. It made sense to me.
It made sense, but I didn't like the aspect of going to the referee for verification. Like, if she did it while getting count, let's say she did it and the count was going and it's an 8 count or whatever.
No,
I would
but
have been
she
totally
rolled back
okay
into
with
the
that.
ring though. She broke that count and then spoke to the referee.
Exactly,
if
but
it was
then
any
if she
other
rolled-
match, I think if it was any other match, I would have absolutely hated that referee spot.
But that's
But
the thing.
given
If
that
she rolled
history,
into,
I thought it just made sense.
I don't. It's a referee. Should be unbiased.
It just, to me, that made sense to me. Yeah, but he's not showing bias to the people in the match.
Of course he is.
No,
That's
he's
a
not.
count out. Liv.
No, he's not. Dominic was supposed to be suspended above the area in a cage.
It's a total
he tried to
bias.
escape.
No, it's a total bias because
It's not.
Liv Morgan could easily win by count out. She could have broken the count and then just rolled back out and just wailed on him again. But then let's get on to the other part, was the return of Raquel Gonzalez.
Rodriguez.
Which, this is where it gets very weird. Like, apparently, Liv was supposed to win by pinfall, not by DQ, not Rhea Ripley winning by disqualification. So I don't understand.
I don't know how they would have gotten there with that spot anyway.
So the only thing that I could think of that was supposed to happen is that Liv Morgan was supposed to be distracting the referee to have the referee's back towards the cage.
Yeah, but the referee
And then
was
that's
over
when
there.
Raquel does the attack and rolls her into the ring.
That's what I
the
didn't
referee
understand,
doesn't
because the
see it.
referee was right there. Raquel, boom, hits Rhea Ripley. And then she goes on, she hits that Tejana bomb on Rhea Ripley. She
That's true.
tosses
She was in
Liv Morgan on top
Yeah,
of...
she was in the ring when she. That's true. She hit that move in the ring right in front of the referee. That's true.
But then she tossed Liv Morgan on top
looked like
of Rhea. Commentary covered for that, and they said like it's symbolic at this point. So
Yeah, like at that rate, I would have if I was Raquel, I would have counted the 3.
that
like, I
I
would've
don't
just
think
gotten
that was
down on the-
necessary because you're trying to make her look like, in my mind, like a Diesel. Diesel's not going to go out there counting 3.
Well, on the other hand, fast forward to Monday Night Raw. Why is she the driver?
Why not?
I don't know. That didn't make sense to me. They should have all been.
Yeah, but why not? She's the heavy.
I don't know.
She's the bodyguard. She's protecting them. Bodyguards drive all the time.
Exactly.
What do you mean exactly? Bodyguards always drive. You have a driver, sometimes you have a bodyguard driving.
That's only Happy.
What does that mean? Happy Hogan. Boom, you just
Yeah.
proved the point. You literally just proved, not
Yeah,
that he's a
that's it.
bodyguard for Tony Stark or anything. I don't know about that.
Well, I mean,
He's a
he's
shoot
the
driver.
head of security.
Yeah, but that he worked up to that.
That's true.
But yeah.
Anything else with that match or no?
Main event, we saw Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns pick up the victory over the Bloodline. Solo Sikoa and Jacob Fatu. Cody Rhodes, his entrance with the marching band that went viral, I thought was dope. The internet tore it apart.
Why?
I don't have no idea.
I thought that this was fine.
The one goof of this entrance was that they replayed the line twice of Cody's theme song. The wrestling has more than one royal family.
Oh, I didn't even catch it.
And then, of course, like the instruments were like out of sync there when they were like trying to play along to the actual song. But the actual like beginning of this entrance I thought was great.
Mm-hmm.
Roman Reigns had an orchestra with him, but like, I don't know why that was necessary. You also videos, like you zoom in on the video, people are like, the one woman's not even drumming. So it was like super weird, but I appreciated that they went for that entrance. This match though, for me, it took a while to get going. For me, the crowd was obviously hot for it the whole time. And the excitement was building for them. But for me, this just felt like I was watching SmackDown or Monday Night Raw.
It did have a SmackDown Monday Night Raw vibe. Yeah, maybe because it was a tag team match. I don't know. I feel like, so at the start of the match, I feel like they didn't, maybe they were playing a little bit too long with the crowd with who was going to get the match started. But it felt very slow to start.
I did like how much the Bloodline did to prevent the tags, though.
Yes.
The moonsault from Jacob Fatu into the splash from Solo Sikoa I thought was nice. I liked Cody Rhodes saluting Roman Reigns before diving onto Jacob Fatu to put him through the commentary table.
Uh-huh.
But we did see Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa show up, which distracted Roman Reigns momentarily. Someone, though, was also there in a hoodie with their face covered. It ended up being Jimmy Uso, who took the champions
didn't even
out.
see you didn't even see him come out or anything like that. You just saw Solo Sikoa notice somebody standing between the two of them, and apparently he didn't even come out through the crowd. He came out from underneath the ring.
Yeah,
and
which
just stood there.
People were wondering why was there a monitor under the ring, like earlier on.
I heard that, or I just only saw that today, that it was seen that there was a monitor under the TV.
Under the
and
ring.
I'm like,
the ring.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
The ring.
So, so it was nice to see Jimmy return. He's been out since that SmackDown after WrestleMania.
That's crazy.
And that helped Roman Reigns win the match. Roman and Jimmy Uso hugged afterwards. They celebrated. And then Roman turned his attention to Cody Rhodes, and they gave head nods to one another. Roman obviously wants that title, and he and Jimmy end up leaving the ring, which leads to the Bloodline attacking Cody Rhodes. And Jimmy Uso's like kind of begging or pleading with Roman Reigns, like, you have to go in there. We have to do something. I'm with you if we're walking, but we should do something. And that led to the two of them running out there and making the save for Cody Rhodes. And then Roman picked up the championship and handed it back to Cody, and The Rock shows up. He lifted up his hand. He did 1, 2, 3 and a throat slash.
Then he was holding the People's Championship.
What that means, we don't know.
Yeah, it could have been. You took it as him counting 1, 2, 3. I took it as him counting the Cody, Jimmy, and Roman on fingers, and then just slitting his throat to being like, "You're all doomed." And then I saw a clip earlier of Solo in the crowd saying to Tonga and all of them that it's all part of the plan.
And then, of course, The Rock went live on Instagram right after this show and cut a promo. And then the biggest news, which people were like, why didn't they show this on TV? Why were they blah, blah, blah? Which it literally caught on like wildfire. Created quote-unquote buzz.
So before you say this, I originally didn't understand it. And I thought that it was stupid to hide it. You explained it to me. And then the more that I saw the chatter, I understood why.
Kevin Owens attacked Cody Rhodes.
Kevin Owens turned heel off camera. They totally relied on the video recordings of their fans. They did it in an area by the parking lot where they knew fans are going to be standing and waiting to see their favorite superstars.
I mean, Cody's bus was right there. Obviously, they're going to be wanting to see Cody.
Exactly. So they
It was really funny during the press conference afterwards. They were like, "Oh, Cody Rhodes, something came up, he couldn't make it," and then this came out. We were like, "Well, I guess this is what came up."
Yeah, so now I think it's smart, especially if you don't have enough time to feature something like that. Let your fans do it for you. The fans just did the production value.
Yeah, so we'll put a pin in that and move over to Monday Night Raw.
Kicking off with Sexy Red.
St. Louis's own, which she
Yeah.
literally, I feel like she might have said like one word and that was it.
Yeah.
And then later on, Adam Pearce and Ava were in the office, and Ethan Page interrupted and spoke about what CM Punk did to him last week on NXT and how he thinks CM Punk cost him the NXT championship. And Adam Pearce was like, well, it was Ava that appointed him the referee. It's not on me. And Ava was like, I'm off the clock. And then Sexy Red showed up again, introduced herself to Ethan Page, and I thought it was a funny segment. But we'll also...
Yeah, I popped for Ethan Page to be on Monday Night Raw, too.
I couldn't think of who would, like, potentially... Yeah, I thought that was good. But we'll put a pin in that. CM Punk came out, cut a promo, and he said that he doesn't feel like he won, and he doesn't know what the future holds for him, and he thanked the fans. And
yeah, very similar, like... It was as if he was giving a retirement speech without retiring. It was more so like...
It was probably, I'm not working Saudi Arabia. I'll see you after November.
I don't know about that.
I feel like that's probably what it was.
More realistically,
I think that's what it was.
But it was also I need time to heal.
He also told the haters to keep doubting him or whatever, and I don't know when I'll be back. I really think they did this to get him off of the card for Crown Jewel. That's a month away.
That'd be interesting. Okay.
I mean,
but
there were those tweets from him, so I wouldn't expect him to be one of the talents working Crown Jewel, even though they were chanting his name the last time they were there, I believe.
Yeah, but after this promo, he's making his way out up the entrance ramp. He's standing there. Seth Rollins' theme song hits, interrupting CM Punk.
It should have clicked that Seth Rollins was about to interrupt him because during his promo, a fireball, I guess, shot up.
Oh, I didn't even see it.
And he acknowledged it, but like I didn't at the time make it. It didn't make sense to me until after I rewatched this promo again.
Yeah.
So Seth Rollins came out and said, "Get well soon." Because the sooner CM Punk is back, the sooner he can retire him for good. And then he moved on to talking about Bronson Reed, and he said that Bronson Reed tried to end his career, so he challenged him to a match, and Bronson Reed can name the time, he can name the place. I have to assume that's going to be taking place at Crown Jewel.
I could assume that too. I want to see Bronson Reed end up challenging for the Intercontinental Championship and winning it from Jimmy.
Jay is the champion, but...
Jay, sorry, yeah.
Jay also...
So I'm just going to bring up something with Bronson Reed. Something I think I marked out over for the thought. Bully Ray mentioned, I think it was Bully Ray's idea. They brought up the matchup with him and Braun Strowman and their ring collapse, right? The thing that I marked out over was this idea of instead of them going both from the top turnbuckle going through the ring that way, is that the ring collapses from Bronson Reed doing his tsunami splash over and over and over again till the last one the ring collapses. How cool would that
it would have been creative,
right? I think I heard that,
but I feel like that wouldn't. I don't think that would necessarily require someone else that's big.
No, definitely. That is true. Who knows? Maybe they could do it with Seth Rollins.
I wouldn't want another ring collapse spot.
I know you don't want to overdo that spot, but I just wanted to bring up that idea for a cool spot. But I think that Seth Rollins versus Reed has a lot of potential. I don't want to see Reed lose though. He's too much of a monster that got built.
I don't know what. That's a tough thing to get around.
I mean, realistically, Seth Rollins has one of the worst PLE records of all time, yet it never impedes his abilities. So he could lose and be okay.
But I don't know. Returning though, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah, I know.
But Jey Uso came out after Seth Rollins was done. They stared each other down for a bit. Seth Rollins left, and Jey Uso had his match with Xavier Woods, where he was able to retain the Intercontinental Championship. I was very excited to see this match, but I felt like nothing happened in this match. I expected the outcome, but I expected more from it. And I think it felt like one big commercial break to me.
I got all I needed from it.
I don't know. Kofi Kingston and Jey Uso shook hands afterwards. Xavier Woods was super annoyed that was even there with the offering of a handshake. He ends up leaving, and Braun Breaker shows up, hits a huge spear on Jey out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when you have Jey falls.
Yeah, so this was interesting because with Braun Breaker and stuff. So I don't know. Especially with
Kofi
what happened
Kingston
with last
told
week.
Xavier Woods, we got to go help him. Very similar to what we saw in Bad Blood.
Mm-hmm.
Woods was 100% against that. Kofi got into the ring. Boom. He got cut with a spear, and then Xavier Woods got cut with a spear for checking on Kofi outside the ring. And then Braun Breaker hit another spear on Jey Uso.
What I didn't like was that this is like last week he cut a babyface thing with putting over Jey, and now he's back to being a heel.
I said last week we don't know if he's a heel or a babyface or what.
I don't know, but putting over like the person that beat you for the championship is very face though.
But maybe he was just throwing him off his game.
True. And I do like this once again with Xavier Woods, an unintentional heel thing to do. You know, the week before he stole the mask of Rey Mysterio. This time he pretty much threw Kofi into the...
No, he didn't. No. We're not going to blame Xavier Woods for Kofi Kingston going in that alone.
100%.
Woods
That's what they're going for.
Woods said no. Kofi Kingston said, you're in charge right now, and still went into the ring to help him out.
Exactly.
That's on Kofi. That's not on Xavier Woods.
Yeah, but
that's
Woods
not
didn't
on
back
Xavier
him up.
Woods.
Woods didn't go in there either.
Xavier Woods said no. He was in charge of the New Day.
He didn't back him up.
He was in charge of the New Day, and he said no. That's on Kofi. Backstage, you had Karrion Kross and The Miz, and they spoke. And Miz said that there's not going to be a Miz in a Final Testament. That's not a thing. A Wyatt Six thing popped up on the screen during this, which I feel like the next victim is going to be, or not even victim, the next, what's the opposite of victim? Because everybody that they're going after deserves it, I guess. I think the next person's going to be Miz. But R-Truth showed up and he said that he's not in the Judgment Day anymore, and Miz probably forgot that, so he forgives the Miz for what he did. And Miz was like, Awesome Truth is done. And Karrion Kross said that if Miz doesn't do something about it right now, that's how Miz is going to be remembered. And R-Truth spoke about getting Miz a match to make up for everything. And Miz was like, you know what? I'm going to challenge you to a match. So that'll be taking place next week. We saw after that what I thought was the match of the night. Sheamus picked up the victory over Pete Dunne in a Donnybrook match. I've enjoyed all the other Donnybrook matches that they've done, and this was no different.
Yeah, this was just hard hitting. I like that Sheamus ended up getting his hands
zip-tied?
Tied up.
Before that, man, he did the 10 beats of the Bodhrán on the the whiskey barrels, and then he hit a white noise off the stack of them through those 2 tables. That was a crazy spot.
He got lucky. He didn't break his elbow.
I guess, yeah.
The way that he landed.
But then Pete Dunne, you would think Sheamus is gonna lose the match with his hands zip tied behind his back. He's still able to hit that knee on Pete Dunne, flop himself over Pete Dunne, and get that 3 count. I thought that was a good ending.
I think he even hit a bro kick.
Well, they called it a bro kick. I'm calling it a high knee. I don't think that was a bro kick.
All right.
I went back and rewatched it. I can't call that. I don't feel comfortable calling it a bro kick.
Next up, you had backstage Liv Morgan, Dominic, and Raquel coming into the parking lot, getting interviewed, being pretty much interrogated.
Yeah, and Raquel didn't say anything. Liv Morgan said what she was going to say and left. They all left the arena. I thought that was some sort of power play, perhaps, but where that's leading to, I don't know. After that, we saw what I think was probably one of the most disappointing moments of the night. We saw Zelina Vega, Natalya, Lyra Valkyria, Katana Chance, Kaden Carter pick up the victory of the Unholy Union and Pure Fusion Collective. With Monday Night Raw going to 2 hours, this is what worried me the most. The match somewhat makes sense, storyline-wise, but I don't want to see the amount of matches for women get cut. I know I already saw the results spoilers for next week, so it seems to be back on track, perhaps. But
okay, good.
I don't want to see matches that turn into pure chaos like this.
I mean, when you look at the event itself for 2 hours, you're kind of limited on what you can do, where you can fit in a women's match.
This show was paced out poorly, and I think it suffered big time by not having that 3rd hour. Like we couldn't get actual substance into most of these matches. That's why with Jey Uso versus Xavier Woods, it felt like nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Even the main event for me felt like nothing.
Yeah.
But this, super chaotic. I could not even keep track of who was legal at times. And it ended with Lyra Valkyria hitting that diving leg drop to pick up the victory.
Yeah. Main event of the evening, Gunther picked up the victory over Sami Zayn to retain the championship.
Cody Rhodes, by the way, was at Monday Night Raw to see who takes, who will be taking on at Crown Jewel.
Yeah.
But I saw people going into this match thinking Sami Zayn would maybe beat Gunther how Eddie Guerrero beat Brock Lesnar in 2004 with Goldberg getting involved, which obviously did not happen in this, but
that wouldn't have made sense to me.
Honestly, if they were going to do Goldberg versus Gunther at Crown Jewel, it would have made perfect sense. But at the same time, I wouldn't have wanted Gunther's reign to end.
Yeah, the guy just broke records with the longest streaks. You can't have him lose like that.
Well, I mean, to me, that adds to a reason why you can have him lose like that.
Nah,
because then he goes into a feud with Goldberg. Like,
I mean, Goldberg is pretty much the streak.
Yeah, it's
one of these streaks. Yeah.
But yeah, I like the false finishes of this match. The fans were very much so behind Sami Zayn. I think it might have been like the second powerbomb or so that Sami kicks out of. Gunther ends up locking him in a sleeper. He gets out of that and then locked it in again. Sami fought back at first, but passed out from it. And that was the end of the match.
Yeah, I liked how at one point he kicked out at 1, and you really thought that he was ready to...
People were like, there's no selling. People clearly don't know what selling is.
Yeah, plus, I mean, we've seen the kick out at 1 happen so many times where it's like that adrenaline pump. We've seen Hogan, we've seen Daniel Bryan, we've seen so many. Mm-hmm. Give me a break.
So that's Monday Night Raw. Moving over to NXT. It opened with Trick Williams. Wesley interrupted Trick and said that he could become the Triple Crown champion. take the title from Trick Williams, and basically that Trick isn't it. And then Jey Uso showed up, and they didn't really do anything other than, unless it leads to Jey Uso versus Wes Lee, I don't get it. I don't get it at all.
It was just them featuring people.
After that, you had Kalani Jordan, Jade Cargill, and Bianca Belair pick up the victory over Fatal Influence. This was Jade's first match in NXT. This was Bianca Belair's first match in NXT since 2020. I like that Kalani Jordan matched with all three of them were matching their color scheme. But it eventually broke down into the move thing that I don't like. Overall, though, I enjoyed this match. I actually thought that Bianca Belair was going to be the one to get the victory, but it was Kalani Jordan, so I like that they had Kalani get that victory, especially in a match with Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill, current champions.
Yeah.
Later on, Metaphor ran into them and said they want a shot at the titles, and Bianca Belair said, well, we're not going to be coming to you, so if you think you could hang with us, then you better come to SmackDown. So we'll put a pin in that. After that, we saw Roxanne Perez come out, and she spoke about, which, by the way, Julia was interviewed before this segment, and she gets interrupted, and she goes, hello, old friend, we got this. I assumed it was going to be Kairi Sane for a quick second, and then I was like, it makes more sense if it was Stephanie Vicor.
Yeah, it definitely makes more sense based off of what happened on NXT the week prior.
So Roxanne makes fun of Julia losing last week. She brought out Cora Jade, who was annoyed that people have been leaving her off of like every list of women in WWE. And she said she's going to make sure that people won't forget her. I like the line about how the women knew she was trying to make it, and now she's going to be the one making NXT.
Yeah.
And then she also said that their friendship has been mended. Julia showed up, Stephanie Vicor showed up, and they went to the ring to brawl, and then they both picked up the championship. What that means for the next champion, who knows?
Yeah, solid tease. Solid tease.
You had No Quarter Catch Crew walking backstage. Ren Sinclair announced that she's going to be challenging Stephanie Vicor to wrestle next week. And then they ran into Lexis King, and Lexis was still stuck on losing losing to Oro Mensah. And he said he's looking for a match where Oro can't cheat to win, which Charlie Dempsey told him about a rounds match, and he's like, I can't do that. So I assume we'll see something like that between Oro Mensah and Lexis King. I'm just not sure what.
Nah. Next up, you had Tony D'Angelo pick up the victory over Oba Femi to become the new North American champion. Big swerve. Did not expect that at all.
That was completely unexpected.
Yeah. Oba Femi is a beast, and Tony D'Angelo able to overcome the beast.
This was a good match, though. I liked during the match, Oba Femi ends up pushing the family, which inadvertently knocks down Adriana Rizzo, and that makes Tony D'Angelo snap.
Yeah, he got fired up.
But the moves that they did in this were crazy, like that choke slam on the apron from Oba Femi, the running kick, and then Oba Femi at one point went to powerbomb Tony D'Angelo through the commentary table. He got out of it and hit a spine buster and put Oba Femi through it. And then he hit another one in the ring. Oba Femi kicks out of that. It really could have gone either way with that spot. Because I went into this match thinking there's no way Tony D'Angelo was winning the championship.
Yeah, they did a great job with pulling. They roped everybody in.
And then Oba went to hit another move, and Tony rolled through and pinned him and picked up the victory. I was completely surprised by that.
Yeah, sunset flip.
Yeah. After that, backstage, Ava was in the office or whatever. Lola Vice wanted a match with Jada Parker. And then Nikita Lyons returned. And they went back and forth, and Ava was like, I was going to talk to Nikita about who her opponent will be, but clearly you want a match, so boom, you'll face Nikita Lyons next week. So we'll see Lola Vice versus Nikita. After that, Fraxium picked up the victory over 8-Town Down Under to retain the NXT Tag Team Championships. I liked that segment earlier in the night with Randy Orton and Fraxium, kind of like him giving them advice. So I thought that was cool, but I thought this was a good match.
Yeah, it was definitely entertaining, and it could have gone either way. But I'm glad that Fraxium picked up the victory.
I thought that submission spot was going to be the end of the match, but that's right after that was when stuff started falling apart for A-Town Down Under. Austin Theory accidentally bumped Grayson Waller. Grayson Waller almost hit Austin Theory and stops, but Waller ends up sending Axiom right into Austin Theory. And that took him out of the match, and it led to the end for Grayson Waller. So I thought that was a very interesting way to end that. It clearly just adds on to will they, won't they split up.
Yeah, tease continues. At some point, it's got to play off. But next up, you had Sexy Red perform, and in the main event.
Well, you had Ethan Page interrupt this.
Oh, yeah.
And he said that this place fell apart since he lost his title last week. And he said that he wasn't going to leave until he gets his rematch. And then Javon Evans came out, which pissed Ethan Page off. And he swung on Evans, but Evans took him out. I thought that was a good way to just like get Ethan Page out of the ring and lead to the main event.
And get Evans into the ring. I mean, he got to have some time with Sexy Red. Yeah. Leading to Randy Orton making his entrance. Huge pop for the hometown hero. Randy Orton picking up the victory over Javon Evans. Javon Evans definitely held his own. Very impressive showing for the young kid.
But I like the story that they told where Evans kept making rookie mistakes, which, like, against Randy Orton, I think that's, like, a great thing to have for them to show. But he did eventually get some of his moves in. Very, very unfortunate that they missed that RKO spot, but because they were clearly going for, like, a super cool one, but I'm glad they didn't repeat it. Randy Orton picked him up and just rocked him with one. He sold it great, I think.
Yeah.
And he's like, Javon, afterwards, you could obviously see him apologizing to Randy Orton. And Randy's like, don't worry about it. You're good. You're honestly, you're good.
And I'm glad Randy didn't do the stupid. Like
I think he's well beyond that.
Yeah, thank goodness.
And then afterwards, Ava set up Ethan Page versus Wesley for the number one contendership. And she was like, you know what? Javon was so good, I'm going to add him to that match as well. So next week, to determine who's going to be facing Trick Williams, we have a triple threat. I thought that was good.
Should be good. And then Randy Orton putting over Javon Evans in the backstage interview after.
Yeah, and I like the banter that Randy had with Sexy Red as well. Talking about what high schools they went to and everything.
Yeah.
So that's NXT. Moving over to SmackDown. It opened up with Jimmy Uso, and he addressed being put on the shelf by Solo Sikoa 6 months ago, and didn't even do it face to face. He attacked him from behind. Roman Reigns interrupted to acknowledge Jimmy, and he spoke about the last 4 years running WWE and how he doesn't like where they are right now, and he doesn't like being out of power. He said, they're still the ones. And Jimmy questioned, he's like, how? I like that interaction that Jimmy had with the crowd. And he said the only reason he came back at Bad Blood was because Roman needed help. And they need help. And he knows only one person they can get help from. The crowd was yeeting. The crowd knew who Jimmy was talking about. And Roman said, no yeet. And then Jimmy said that the only one in the family left that acknowledges Roman Reigns still is him. And then he left. Later on, Jimmy ran into Cody Rhodes. Cody thanked him for helping him. And Jimmy was like, consider it a favor. Don't expect more of those. LA Knight picked up the victory over Carmelo Hayes to retain the U.S. Championship. I expected to see Andrade during this, and he showed up pretty early on to watch. I thought it was a good match where both of them shined. I liked how Carmelo Hayes landed to counter the BFT, the first one. And then that last sequence leading to that BFT finish I thought was very nice. Carmelo Hayes, though, super annoyed that Andrade distracted him ringside. And he questioned Nick Aldis about it. So Nick Aldis made match number 7 between Carmelo Hayes and Andrade, where the winner might get a U.S. title shot. in that same segment, Santos Escobar was annoyed that the title shots keep seemingly going to Andrade and Carmelo Hayes. And Nick Aldis is like, I've been waiting for you to bounce back. And Santos questioned him, what about Elektra Lopez? What about Los Garzas? And Nick Aldis said that he actually has a match for them next week. Hand-picked a special team for Angel and Humberto to face. Could it be the debut of Motor City Machine Guns? Who knows? He did say that it'll be them regretting the match, I guess. So who knows? Hopefully it is. That'd be fun. After that, later on, or earlier on, I guess, technically, Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill picked up the victory over Metaphor to retain the tag team titles. I like that they aired a video to introduce Metaphor to the people, maybe in case you didn't watch NXT. But Kevin Owens interrupted their entrance and said that he wasn't supposed to be there, but people keep asking him why he turned on Cody Rhodes. But it was Cody who turned on him. And Cody came out, security separated them. Randy Orton also came out and held Cody back. And then he got in the ring to help hold Kevin Owens back. Kevin Owens ends up knocking Randy Orton in the face, which Randy Orton in turn strikes Kevin Owens. And then later on, DIY and Street Profits were arguing with one another, and it cuts back to Kevin Owens beating the ever-loving heck out of Randy Orton. We had Trick Williams sitting ringside for the match. Piper Niven and Chelsea Green were also ringside due to what happened right before the match with the champions backstage. I thought Metaphor did a great job with the frequent tags and the tag team moves. Lash Legend took Chelsea Green out at one point, and that, I guess, distracted her enough to have the champions take over. I really wish that this match was longer. But it's not like I expected Metaphor to actually walk out the winners, but I feel like this could have been, if this took place in NXT, they would have had so much more time. So that, I think, is the most unfortunate moment of this match, I guess. Even though that segment with Kevin Owens interrupted that, I feel like I would have liked to have had this more longer. That took way too long to say. After that, we had Nia Jax and Tiffany Stratton. Nia Jax spoke about beating Bayley at Bad Blood and said nobody can beat her, especially not Liv Morgan. And then Nia Jax got Tiffany in a headlock and said that after she beats Liv Morgan at Crown Jewel, that's when Tiffany Stratton should cash in on Liv Morgan. Naomi showed up to remind Nia Jax that she pinned her and she could beat her right then and there. Nia was like, okay, let's see that. Give me a referee. Then the Judgment Day, Dominic, Liv Morgan, Raquel Rodriguez showed up. Naomi ends up winning the match, controlling most of it. I like that running hip attack that Nia Jax did when she was on the apron into the ring post. And then Naomi, I also like the drop kick into Nia Jax's head into the ring post from the apron. I also, when Naomi went for the move off the barricade, Nia Jax caught her or not caught her, she just grabbed her off the barricade and hit a Samoan drop. Tiffany Stratton, though, attacked Naomi at one point behind the referee's back, and she went to go use the Money in the Bank briefcase on Naomi, but Raquel Rodriguez took it away. And Tiffany Stratton gets knocked down by Naomi. And Naomi gets back into the ring. Nia Jax gets her down, about to hit her with the Annihilator. Raquel distracts the referee. Liv Morgan takes that Money in the Bank briefcase and smacks Nia Jax with it, and allows for Naomi to hit a powerbomb on Nia Jax to get that victory. And then, very unexpectedly, Rhea Ripley showed up and brawled with Raquel. Liv Morgan ran into the ring, which I thought was really funny because everything that just happened with Nia Jax, and Nia Jax got her hands on Liv Morgan, but Rhea Ripley got in the ring, knocked down Nia Jax with a kick, kind of got her hands on Liv Morgan. Liv Morgan escaped. So I like that they're building up this stuff for Crown Jewel. we'll see where that leads. For the main event, we saw Solo Sikoa pick up the victory over Jimmy Uso. Jimmy's first match in 6 months. The Bloodline, though, surrounded the ring. And Jacob Fatu was able to knock Jimmy around behind the referee's back multiple times. At one point, all 3 members tried to take Jimmy down. They got up on the apron. Jimmy shut that down for a second. But behind the referee's back, Jacob Fatu ends up taking Jimmy Uso out. And that led to the end of the match with Solo Sikoa winning. And then they beat Jimmy down afterwards. Roman Reigns made the save. I like that Tama Tonga kept beating down on Jimmy while Roman Reigns was coming to the ring. But Roman temporarily takes everyone down before going at it with Solo Sikoa. Jacob Fatu gets back into the picture and takes Roman down. Jimmy tried to help, but he gets taken down as well. And Solo Sikoa hits that Samoan spike on Roman Reigns. And then they all left. And Jimmy was like, we need help. So obviously Roman Reigns is going to come to his senses. And we will see that reintroduction of Jimmy Uso at some point. I assume this is leading to War Games. And I'm pumped for that. Who's the 4th guy? I think it probably has to be Sami Zayn in this story. And that's going to be a fun match. That's going to be a fun match to watch. So that's SmackDown. Going to take a quick little break right now. And I'll be right back here on Markin Out.
This is Jake the Snake Robertson. In case you didn't know it, you're listening to Markin Out.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Markin Out episode 714. AEW Rampage last week kicked off with Shibata and Private Party picking up the victory over the Elite. I thought the start of this was interesting. Not something we normally see with Jack Perry. The draping move that with the Swanton from the Bucks and the DDT from the apron from Jack Perry, I thought took way too long. But ultimately, this felt like a Rampage match, which was very surprising given that the Elite were part of it. But Mark Quinn pinned Matt Jackson and very, very surprised. Obviously, they're building to WrestleDream, so something like that ultimately makes sense. After that, you had Chris Statlander say that the street fight with Willow was an end of an era for her, and now she wants to be on her own, away from Stokely. And then she started to rattle off Bianca Belair's catchphrase, and Camille interrupted to say her match is next, and Mercedes was like, oh, you better watch it. So it seems like Chris Statlander is a face now, randomly, even though they went through all that trouble building her up as a heel with Stokely. And then you go to Camille picking up the victory over Zoe Lynn. I feel like Camille has turned into a dud in AEW. She's been there for over 2 months, and all she's done is face enhancement talent. There was one person that was signed, and they never win. Someone like Camille, I feel like, should be squashing signed talent. And can they not mention that she was one of the most dominant NWA women's champions? Can they not say that she held the title for over 800 days? Something that only 4 other women have done? I don't understand that. And then on Collision, Mercedes Moné and Camille spoke. Same Bianca Belair stuff that Chris Statlander said. And then Chris Statlander interrupted and said she has a match, watch it. And then Chris Statlander picked up the victory over Zoe Lynn. And I feel like if you want to build up Camille without mentioning her accolades and having her beat enhancement talent, then why would you have the same person that Camille just beat be completely fine the next night to face Chris Statlander? I didn't understand that at all. I don't like that. Mercedes Moné and Camille showed up after the match, And Mercedes said that nobody will disrespect her. And she'll be the next person to find out, basically, what happens when you mess with her. And she sent Camille into the ring. They brawled. That's the end of that. Back on a Rampage, Queen Aminata picked up the victory over Harley Cameron. I thought this was a good match. The outside of the ring fighting, I don't think was necessary at all. Was it really necessary to go out multiple times? I don't think so. I really liked that Shining Wizard from Harley Cameron. I thought it was a nice sell on that final headbutt from Queen Aminata. And then Serena Deeb came out and attacked Queen Aminata. Britt Baker came out, so she ran off. Main event saw the Conglomeration pick up the victory over the Learning Tree. Jericho was on commentary and then ran down when Kyle O'Reilly had Brian Keith in an ankle lock. And while the referee was distracted by Chris Jericho, Brian Keith tapped out. Rocky Romero ran down. He took out Chris Jericho. Big Bill took out Rocky Romero. And then you had like a standard Orange Cassidy victory. But it was Kyle O'Reilly who actually pinned Brian Keith. On Collision, you had Darby Allin pick up the victory over John Morrison. John Morrison's last televised victory in AEW was June 2023. So that's really all you need to know about this match. And then afterwards, Darby Allin spoke about his open challenge for WrestleDream and told everybody, come out right then and there. Let's get this match made. And nobody came out. And he called the locker room complacent, and then Brody King attacked Darby Allin as he was leaving. I'll put a pin in that. The Outrunners picked up the victory over Grizzled Young Veterans. They aired a training montage where the Outrunners taught FTR to be them. And it's starting to come off as a bad Southpaw parody to me. So I'm starting to not be entertained by this. But they're all tied up now. The Outrunners and Grizzled Young Veterans, they reversed a Doomsday move with a victory roll to get that victory. After that, Willow Nightingale picked up the victory over Trish Adora. Adora never won a match in AEW. So to me, this does nothing to build up Willow Nightingale. It's just one of those like AEW Dark-esque wins. It does nothing for me for Willow versus Mariah May. Afterwards, you saw Mariah May push Willow with her title, tried to slap Willow, but Willow blocked it and beat her down. And then she slapped Willow and ran off. I'll put a pin in all that. Wheeler Yuta picked up the victory over Beef. The Blackpool Combat Club watched on. This was just a standard, as of late, Wheeler Yuta match. Nothing bad, nothing really necessary to talk about, I guess. You have the Conglomeration pick up the victory over the Premier Athletes. This is like clockwork. Another loss for the Premier Athletes. AEW gives us zero reasons to care about matches when they wrestle. You had Smart Mark distract the referee. Josh Woods knocked Orange Cassidy down. And then Rocky Romero jumped Josh Woods. Mark Briscoe jumped in. Briscoe made the save, but Orange Cassidy ends up knocking Mark out, and that leads to the end. But I want to see the Premier Athletes winning matches against signed talent. We're huge fans of Tony Nese on this show. Given that we're from Long Island, we've seen him wrestle very much so up close at NYWC. And then he's doing nothing. Loss after loss. You had Hologram pick up the victory over Action Andretti, Commander, and Nick Wayne. This was a pretty chaotic match. I liked that Hurricane Rana that Commander did to Nick Wayne and Hologram. But it took a little too long to pull off. I did like the evasion tactics that Hologram used against Action Andretti in the corner. And reversing that handspring elbow with the Enziguri I thought was nice. that led right into the Blue Thunder Bomb to pick up the victory there. You had Private Party pick up the victory over the House of Black and Top Flight in a #1 contendership eliminator. I think given what happened on Dynamite last week, this made sense. House of Black, though, for me, comes off super weak here. So that sucks. And then you had Action Andretti throw a water bottle at Buddy Matthews in front of the referee. Referee didn't care. Dante tagged himself in. And Malachi Black didn't realize it. House of Black went out to deal with Action Andretti. I just would have preferred if Private Party got a quick roll up on Dante Martin off that blind tag rather than what actually happened, the dive to the outside. Then you have the distraction lined up perfectly for House of Black. Andretti could still be pissed off that he lost. But Private Party versus Young Bucks for championships at WrestleDream in 2024, I think is crazy. On AEW Dynamite, Darby Allin called out Brody King. He spoke about their time on the Indies and how Brody saw Darby in AEW and wanted to be there. He spoke about how Ring of Honor closed down and Darby told Tony Khan, hire this guy. And he said because of AEW, both of them were able to have their dads retire. They were able to buy houses for their families. But Brody wants his spot and it's not happening. And then Brody said Darby's right. But he doesn't take his spot in AEW for granted like Darby Allin does. And he referred to Darby Allin. Well, he didn't refer to him as it. He said Darby Allin has a death wish. And he needs someone to save him from himself. And Darby ends up begging Brody King to hit him. He slapped Brody and Brody fought back. He locked him in a sleeper and Darby, it seems like a cheap attack, hits him with a rock and busts him open. That seems like a very, very cheap move that a heel would do. After that, Hologram picked up the victory over Commander. You had to know what this match was going to be going into it. And it's literally exactly how I pictured it going. But it was still a fun match. I liked the catch from Hologram leading to that Blue Thunder Bomb in the end. Earlier in the night, though, it was announced that Lance Archer was traded by Jake the Snake Roberts to Don Callis. But we didn't know who for. So I guess everything that I had hoped for last week with the Righteous and Lance Archer is just dead again. But we found out that the person traded was Roosh. LFI attacked Hologram and Commander after the match. I feel like that trade should have been established before they joined forces the other week. And I also don't know if LFI needs Jake Roberts. That's a very weird pairing. I'm here for it right now, but I don't know. I was hoping for more with Lance Archer and the Righteous. And that seems dead. Earlier, they showed Daniel Garcia pulled up. The main takeaway was that he's staying with AEW. But if you were going to have him go out and announce something like this, why not make it a surprise return? He's been off TV for a few weeks. Why bother showing him pull up to the arena? I think that hurt his promo by having that. But I'm glad that he's staying with AEW. I couldn't see him in WWE or NXT right now. I thought his promo after he spoke about staying in AEW, I thought that was really good. And he basically put every champion on notice. You had Willow Nightingale pick up the victory over Jamie Hayter, Saraya, and Nyla Rose to become the #1 contender. This was supposed to be Willow versus Britt Baker. Britt Baker was unfortunately sick. I think Willow was the obvious winner, though, especially this being a last-minute match. I really would have preferred if they didn't use weapons at all in this. I also really would have preferred if Harley Cameron didn't get involved at all. And I would have preferred if Penelope Ford didn't randomly return during this to take out Jamie Hayter. To me, that just makes Jamie Hayter look A, bad, B, stupid. I understand that you got hit, but you're going to go after Penelope Ford. You have a title match, a title shot. I just feel like since she's returned, dud. I'm glad that Penelope Ford's back. It's been around 8 months. But this match was a mess. Willow ends up pinning both Saraya and Harley Cameron. And then Mariah May attacked Willow after the match. Later on, Willow pounced the ever-loving heck out of Mariah May when she was being interviewed. So I thought that was great. And then Willow said she'll become champion. After that, Jay White picked up the victory over Cody Chun. I don't know why this was needed. What does beating an enhancement talent do for anything with his feud with Hangman? And I don't feel like this is going to be shaking off ring rust. Someone who isn't signed to AEW? Cody Chun versus Hangman as an opponent? I feel like that's like ridiculous. This match, the fact that it wasn't just like a Blade Runner 1, 2, 3 makes Jay look weak. And then he cut a promo after the match and said that Hangman is one of the wrongs that he needs to make right on his path. And the other is, once he's done with Hangman, he's coming for the AEW championship. We'll see. Probably not. Backstage, Hook bumped into Kip Sabian or vice versa. Kip said he didn't know anything about who attacked Taz. He walked off, and then Christian and Nick Wayne showed up. Hook doesn't know where Kip Sabian was. Christian then sympathized with Hook since he lost Killswitch to a serious medical situation. And Hook lost Taz to the I guess being taken out. Both Taz and Killswitch are actually out right now. I hope both of them recover fast. After that, Mercedes picked up the victory over Emi Sakura to retain both championships. Emi, let's be honest, has zero shot here. It's been about 6 months since we've seen her on TV, so I was happy to see her. But what did she do to deserve this? I didn't really understand that, why this was taking place. Emi took Camille out during the match, but when Mercedes got back into the ring, she grabbed the ring apron. The referee was fixing that, was distracted with that. Camille takes Emi Sakura down, and it leads to the pin. Quick kick out, but transitions right into the bank statement. Tap out. And then the two of them went to beat up Emi Sakura, and Chris Statlander made the save. Which it's still so goofy that, like, random, boom, face turn. I just, after everything that they did, especially with Chuck Taylor and everything, it makes no sense. And then it goes into a private party interview where Stokely offered his services to them. They turned him down. I would like to see Stokely have like a dominant tag team end up taking Private Party out, but I don't know who that tag team would be or if that even exists. I don't think it does. Top Flight spoke later on, and they said that they were pissed, but they should have a title match against the Young Bucks. And then Action Andretti yelled at them, and they were like, he was not making excuses, but he said, like, we don't deserve the title shot, basically. And then Layla Gray yelled at him and blamed him as the reason why they lost. You had Will Ospreay come out to the ring. He called out Don Callis because of what happened with Takeshita last week. Don Callis finally admitted that he did send Takeshita out there because Will Ospreay didn't listen to him. Takeshita ended up saving Don. Kyle Fletcher got involved, and Don Callis gave him the screwdriver. He refused to hit Will Ospreay with it. Takeshita takes Will Ospreay out himself. And then Ricochet ran out to take Takeshita out. he escaped before anything major could happen, but Lance Archer not being in this segment to me speaks volumes. What was the point of him joining the Don Callis family if he's not going to be involved in this? And then the main event, you had Bryan Danielson and Wheeler Yuta pick up the victory over the Blackpool Combat Club. Bryan at one point was taken out. Wheeler was left to fend for himself, basically. He eventually gets the upper hand, and Bryan got on the apron, tagged himself in. He took on Pac, he took on Claudio by himself, and then he stopped mid-yes chant right before he was setting up to do that running knee because Jon Moxley and Marina Shafir showed up. Blackpool Combat Club took over again. Marina Shafir distracted the referee. Pac grabbed a hammer right in front of the referee's face, but the referee didn't see it at all because it's an AEW official. And then Wheeler Yuta grabbed the hammer. Bryan won the match. Him and Moxley brawled to the back. Marina Shafir beats up Wheeler Yuta. Pac joined in. Claudio made them stop. But then Claudio knocked him with the hammer. Bryan Danielson and Jon Moxley made their way back out to the ring. Bryan took out Pac. Bryan took out Claudio. I really feel like this ending wasn't leading to a pay-per-view. It just seemed like way too all over the place with the main focus. Instead of being Bryan and Jon Moxley, I felt like a majority of the focus was Blackpool Combat Club and Wheeler Yuta. They're not booked, but I feel like it has to lead to Wheeler Yuta joining, or just not joining, just aligning himself fully with the Blackpool Combat Club. And it has to end with Jon Moxley winning that championship. So WrestleDream is this weekend, Tacoma, Washington, the Tacoma Dome. We have Atlantis Jr. versus Brian Cage for the Ring of Honor World Television Championship. Atlantis Jr., how do you even pick a match like this? Why is this match even on the card? Mark Briscoe versus Chris Jericho for the Ring of Honor Championship. Mark Briscoe hopefully retains. Darby Allin, Brody King, Darby Allin. Jack Perry, Shibata for the TNT Championship, Jack Perry. Will Ospreay defending the title against Ricochet and Takeshita. It's a tough one to call. I would have to say Will Ospreay, but I would love for Takeshita to win and become the international champion. For the AEW Tag Team Championships, Young Bucks taking on Private Party, Young Bucks. AEW Women's Championship, Mariah May versus Willow Nightingale, Mariah May retains. Hangman versus Jay White. It has to be Jay White, but I don't see Jay White winning this. I see Hangman winning. You have Maximum Male Models versus the Acclaimed. Didn't even realize that was a match taking place at WrestleDream. I'm going to say, the Acclaimed. And then it has to be the main event. AEW Championship on the line. Bryan Danielson versus Jon Moxley. As much as I want Bryan Danielson to retain, I'm going to have to say Jon Moxley. So that's AEW WrestleDream. Hey, Brandon. Got any shout-outs?
For you guys, I'm listening to Brandon shout-outs. Oh, well, gee, Eric, I don't think that's a great thing to do. Hey, respect my authority.
Casa Bonita, Mia Moore gets the first shout out. It's a new documentary out on Paramount Plus about Trey Parker and Matt Stone buying Casa Bonita in Colorado. It was first featured on an episode of South Park, and I would assume most people had no clue that the place actually existed.
Yeah.
Because I definitely didn't. The location that it's at now opened in the 70s, and it seemed to be an exciting restaurant to dine at. And over the years, the upkeep just sort of stopped. Then during COVID, it closed, and they ended up purchasing it. And this goes through the process of them reopening Casa Bonita. They changed the theming a bit to make it make more sense. But I I thought this was really good. I like that they showed them. I wish they showed more parts of them going to Mexico, but I like that they went to Mexico to learn about everything. And they got a new chef, so the food is actually good now. Apparently the food wasn't great. And hopefully I'll get to see it in person someday.
Yeah.
My next shout out goes to The Franchise, which is a new show airing on HBO and then streaming on Max. It's a comedic take on the production of a lower tier superhero movie from a major studio. And a lot of the reviews are saying it's basically supposed to be Marvel. So we'd be looking at, I assume, a movie like The Eternals. But if you told me this was a British show based on the comedy aspect of it, I would believe you. I still think it's good enough for me to mention. Although when I saw the trailer for this, I thought it was going to be a little bit different. So hopefully it gets a lot better.
Yeah.
My last shout out goes to Last Bite Hotel. It premiered about 2 weeks ago or so on the Food Network, also streaming on Max. Titus Burgess hosts, and it's honestly nothing like I've ever seen before. Each chef was allowed to bring only 13 items, and they cook for VIP hotel guests each episode. And then those ingredients have to last them throughout the competition. It's really crazy to see them stretch their ingredients. And then when a competitor is eliminated, their ingredients go to the contestants. It's not exactly a Halloween themed show, but it's in the same genre. And I think this is one of the greatest shows that Food Network has ever put on. So definitely check that out if you like food shows. Those are my shout outs. Now it's time for our
Mark Out Moment of the Week.
That is right, our Mark Out Moment of the Week. I gotta say, the WWE Vault will get mentioned every single time they upload something cool. Because last week they uploaded Carlito versus Sabu from WWC in 2003. And the footage that WWE owns is like insane.
Yeah, it's incredible.
That we haven't seen. It's a standard Sabu match, but seeing Carlito with a buzz cut I thought was crazy. They also uploaded some of the dark matches that Mortis had in WWE, which I've wanted to see for a while now, and they finally uploaded some of them.
Yeah, I didn't even know that he had a match in the WWE as Mortis.
Yeah, and he chose purple instead of the green that he would have used in WCW.
Yeah.
But he does moves that people just don't do on TV anymore. And I feel like they should still be used. And I also think he would have been super over in NXT.
Oh yeah, Canyon, he was ahead of his time.
Yeah.
He really was.
It's very sad with how everything turned out with him and everything.
Yeah, especially because he has such a fan following too.
Yeah.
So, for me, mark out moment is the Royal Hawaiian from Glow, the original Glow, appearing on Let's Make a Deal. During the morning shows, she was on there talking about Glow, and she actually won $10,000 in her showcase. So kudos to her. So that was my mark out moment.
Also, Triple H and Shawn Michaels did a State of the Union for NXT.
Yes. Thank goodness you brought that up. Yes, my mark out moment was that as well.
I thought it was going to be a lot like their other one from the Attitude Era, basically ushering a new era of NXT, saying like, oh, we're going to be taking this to TV 14 now.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be a legit like address.
But I popped so hard because it wasn't that. It was them talking in Zoomer lingo. So I thought that was really funny.
I agree.
So those are the mark out moments of the week. And that is episode 714. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. You could follow us on Twitter at Markin Out, at BTTG161 on all platforms. Chris Sweendog, CM Sweeney85, David PTDPT. Like us on Facebook, facebook.com/markingout. YouTube and Instagram are markinout11. ProWrestlingTees.com/markinout. At markinout on TikTok. markinout.com, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, iHeartRadio. You can listen to us on YouTube as well. We wish you best of luck in your future endeavors. Have a fantastic week.